Welcome to MLB Tonight, 30 clubs, 30 camps. 30 clubs, 30 camps. We're in Lakeland, Florida with the Detroit Tigers. Alongside Cliff Floyd, I'm Robert Flores. Cliff, 87 wins for this Tigers team, but it was a little bit unusual. They collapsed towards the end. The Guardians end up catching them, but yet they beat the Guardians in the postseason. I know the Tigers are looking to take some steps beyond this year.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Flo, is that last memory is you beat them in the postseason to head into 2026. But when you're able to keep Skubal here and then go out and add to the pitching depth that they already had, I think this is a luxury that AJ Hinch hasn't had in the past.
No doubt, because it obviously starts with Tarik Skubal, but the depth of the rotation, you're right, to your point, is something they haven't always had.
No, and I think, when you also look at those precious 3 outs at the back end of the bullpen, Kenley Jansen, 476 career saves, along with the fact that he allows, AJ to shorten the game in different facets, of the season.
They have 3 players in their bullpen, 3 pitchers that had at least 20 saves last year, but it all starts with Tarik Skubal. After winning his first Cy Young Award in 2024, Tarik Skubal was even better in 2025. The ERA was lower, the WAR was higher, and the 2-time Cy Young Award winner chatting with our Greg Amsinger.
Robert, thanks. Here with Tarik Skubal. Obviously, I've got to ask how excited you are to be part of this unbelievable dream team USA.
Yeah, super excited. The talent, we just did a team stretch. The talent in that line is probably second to none, so I'm excited to be a part of it.
I'd like to ask this question to all you guys. Where were you when Ohtani faced Trout in the WBC final 3 years ago? And did that moment have anything to do and impact your motivation to play for Team USA this go-around?
I don't remember exactly where I was, but I remember watching it for sure, and it's one of the best sweepers I've ever seen. It was like 89 with a good left-hand turn at like 14 inches, which is insane. But yeah, I think, obviously getting to that stage and losing, I think is something that's fueled a lot of these guys to come out here and play in this classic, so it'll be a ton of fun.
How about the fact that you've had some wars with some of the biggest hitters in all of baseball, and now they're on your team? What is that like to see Judge and Bobby Witt and Cal Raleigh walking around?
Yeah, awesome. I've always compared this to kind of like an all-star game, but we actually get to come together and spend a couple weeks together, and those are where those relationships are going to be built. We'll see how much info I can get from some of these hitters and kind of scouting report stuff. I'm sure that stuff will stay confidential, but it's going to be fun to play alongside them.
And how about the talent on your Detroit Tiger team? This roster improved. What do you think about the offseason adjustments to the Tigers?
I love it. Obviously bringing in Framber and JV, but also getting guys back. Flair comes back, Glaber comes back, and then obviously we're young too on the position player side, and another year of experience is only going to help us, especially, the failure that we've found ourselves in 2 Game 5s. I think when you take that failure as motivation going into an offseason and use it to kind of fuel that and get back to spring and be hungry and motivated, I think those are dangerous clubs, and we're that club.
And offensively, don't you see the consistency of your lineup only getting better with age? There's going to be more run support in 2026 for you guys on the mound.
No doubt, and I love hearing that. That's perfect for pitching, especially starting pitching. When your lineup's going to put up runs every time out there, it lets you pitch a little bit more freely and go right after guys. And if you you go down early, I think the guys that we have in the clubhouse, we're always going to fight and grind to get back into it.
Do you push out the thought of 3 straight Cy Youngs, or is that a goal for you?
No, I don't. I've never really once tried to win a Cy Young going into a season. I just want to be healthy. And when I'm healthy, I know the type of player I am on the field, and I know when I'm healthy, there's adjustments that can be made in between starts that I can work on in bullpen settings or catch play. So for me, just health is kind of the key.
And finally, do you think that this Tigers team is the best in the AL Central?
Yes.
Ooh, I like that. I'm a fan, so if I'm a fan of Detroit right now, you just fired me up. Here with the Tarik Skubal.
In 2026, the Detroit Tigers figured to have depth in the rotation. Of course, it all starts with Tarik Skubal at the top. Framber Valdez signs a monster deal to come over after spending time with the Astros, and Justin Verlander returns to wear the old English D. Here with Justin Verlander. Justin, when you look at this rotation that you're now a part of, what do you see?
Well, I mean, I'm excited, obviously, to see Scoob and see him up close and personal and watch him go through his routine and what he does every day and what he brings to the mound. Obviously, I know Framber well from Houston, and then a bunch of young talent. Jack, obviously not young, but I think these guys have been good. Just kind of excited to get in the mix and be part of this rotation.
We were hoping that you could, for us lay people, that take a look at the changes that you made last season. And, I mean, obviously I can tell that you shifted heavily to the third base side of the rudder. When you look at this and the two split screens side by side, what do you see?
I mean, a lot of stuff's running through my mind. I went, last year, especially the first half, was one of those years where, everything just wasn't clicking, trying to
Velo jumped here.
Yeah, you go out there, but you go out there on the game day, and the hitter tells you if you're good or not, and that's what I rely on. And so when you're going out there not having the success like I was early, but felt good physically, it's like, okay, I need to find the thing that's going to make me click, whatever it is. And I'm a tinkerer. I pitch. I absorb the information, I go home at night, and I just stew on it and think about it, and I come in the next day kind of refreshed with like, okay, that wasn't working. What are we going to work on today? And like, what's the next thing that's going to make me click? Why didn't that work last time? And it can be a lot, I'm not going to lie, especially, after you're 3 months into the season, 3.5, 4 months into the season, like every start is like, okay, what's it going to be? Why is it not working? What can I try? And it got to the point where I was like, I mean, let's try anything. I don't care. I was getting my hand out of the glove early, shifted way over on the mound. But really, I think it came down to timing, like it always does.
Yeah. But you found success with those things.
No. Well, I think I found the thing that clicked. That's it. There was a mental thought that I found in the bullpen about being a little more vertical. It doesn't matter. The thought was what got me on time. Right. And then once I was able to sync that up and kind of blend my heater and slider together, which has been my bread and butter for a long time now, started seeing better results. Almost immediately saw the hitters' reactions to me change. I could sneak the heater by him. I could get him out front on the slider. I could get the swing and miss on the slider. These guys are so good, and that's really in the game today. The ability to put guys away. I could get them to 2 strikes, but I had a hard time putting them away. They were so good at battling me once they got into 2-strike mode.
See, that was my one thing. I watched the start of you last year. You kind of pitched backwards as far as just you something felt good and you just stayed with it, right? You were 0-0 off speed as opposed to 98 and saying, here, it's going to be 0-1. The old Justin, not the old, but the guy who could have that 98 in your back pocket. How have that changed? I mean, you just talked about it a little bit, but how has that changed as far as just your daily preparation? If you feel good in the bullpen, you taking that with you?
No, not at all. Don't care. Bullpen doesn't matter. I have horrible bullpens, great bullpens. Come in the game, and it's the lights click on, and sometimes it syncs up. Sometimes you have the best bullpen of your life, and you go out there and you throw the first warm-up pitch, and it's like, oh my God, I feel like a different person. So the warm-up is exactly what it is. It's just a warm-up.
Yeah.
Well, Justin, I know there's a lot of people going to be glad to see you back wearing the old English D.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you and the Tigers.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
You got it. We asked you on social media which Tigers bold prediction most likely to come true this season. Cliff, what do you got?
Well, Flo, I'm going to go with Riley Greene hitting over 40. Hit 36 in that big park out there in Detroit, in Comerica Park. So I'm going to go with him going over 40 now.
We'll give you the results to what you voted for a little bit later. Here with Kerry Carpenter of the Detroit Tigers. Let me take you back to the postseason. And that, you already know what I'm going to ask, right? The homer, left on left.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be one of the most significant postseason homers in Tigers history. I know it didn't end up the way you guys wanted it, but how did it feel going into the offseason, fresh off that moment?
Yeah, no, that was an amazing feeling going into the offseason because I felt like I didn't have my best regular season. I kind of felt like I was off and on, but everything kind of clicked in the postseason, and so once that happened, I had some good results, put good at-bats together, even off Aspire. He's a good, he's really good.
That's left on left, right?
So it felt good to kind of I wanted to just burn those into my memory for the offseason and remember how it felt.
So you're in the lineup every day? Against lefties included, right?
You guys want to go talk to
we'll put in the good word for AJ.
We were just talking about that. I mean, just the thought of coming to camp and hoping for those 550 at-bats and some of the things you have to kind of tweak to being there every day. What have you worked on this spring?
This spring, getting to my spot on time, I think that's such a key, no matter who I'm facing, whether it's a righty, whether it's a lefty. whether it's somebody throwing hard or somebody spinning everything. Just getting to my spot on time. I feel like that cleans up pretty much everything for me. I mean, when everything is clicking and I'm on time, I feel pretty confident against anybody that I'm facing.
Hey, well, we appreciate the time. Best of luck to you and the Tigers in 2026.
Yeah,
you got it.
Thank you, guys.
Last year in the American League Central, the Detroit Tigers went 7-17 in the month of September. That allowed the Guardians to overtake them and win the division before the Tigers, of course, beat them in the postseason. Here with Tigers catcher Dillon Dingler. First of all, how you feeling? You had the off-season elbow surgery. How you feeling so far?
I'm feeling good. I got down here a few weeks early and we were able to get the procedure done and, kind of figure out a good program back. So I'm getting close. I'm ready. Chomping at the bit a little bit. But
You've been in the lineup a couple times as DH. When are you going to be behind the plate?
I think the way the rehab schedule's looking is about a week or so. Obviously subject to change, but looking forward to getting back there.
Obviously, at the top, it's Tarik Skubal. I mean, back-to-back Cy Youngs. Just how would you describe what it's like to catch him? What you see on a start-in, start-out basis from Tarik Skubal?
No, it's incredible. It's incredible, the consistency that he has. It's also fun seeing the way that he appreciates the game and seeing his prep and also being able to stay loose. You wouldn't know that he's starting when he's in the locker room before the game. He keeps it loose.
Really?
And then he's able to flip that switch, and he's the best in the game.
You won your first Gold Glove this past off season. What was that like? How much pride did you take in that?
No, that was awesome. That was one of my big ones growing up. Always loved that award. Meant a lot to me.
Finally, what is this group like off the field together? What's the vibe like in the clubhouse? Is there a whole bunch of music blaring before games, after wins? What's it like?
I'd say so. I feel like we're pretty close. Obviously, I don't have any experience with any other teams, but a lot of us have come up together. A lot of us have played together for a long time, and then each guy that gets added to the team seems to blend perfectly. We try to be really welcoming, and I think we have a really good culture, really good chemistry.
Well, Dillon, we appreciate the time. Congratulations on the Gold Glove, and go get another one in 26.
Appreciate it.
Manager interviews are presented by Sage, the official finance software partner of Major League Baseball.
Welcome back to Lakeland, Florida. 30 clubs, 30 camps. We're with the Detroit Tigers. Here's a look at how the Detroit Tigers' projected lineup could lay out in 2026. Parker Meadows suffered through an injury-plagued 2025, but he's at the top of the order playing center field. And Riley Greene, 30-plus home runs last season, right in the middle of the order. Earlier, he stopped by to chat with Cliff.
We're here with Tigers left fielder Riley Greene, and what a great year you had last year. How do you come to camp and kind of slow yourself down and go, hey, that was one, I can put that in the memory bank and move on to another solid year?
Well, to start, at the beginning of the offseason, sat down with my hitting coach, went over some stuff for the season, kind of reflected over the whole season, and had some stuff to work on, definitely, and that kind of helps me have like a building point for the off season, and helps me work on stuff.
So are you a T guy or a flip guy?
I'm a flip guy.
So we're gonna get this thing out of here. Nothing wrong with the T, my people out there, but we're gonna go with flips. So when you getting flips, is it more of like how you starting your routine typically?
So first, I'm just doing regular flips, just down the middle, just trying to get the body going, and then I will go into a one-handed bat. I'll go the front hand and the back, and I will have them throw it to the top so I can emphasize, getting above the ball with a high finish.
Is it you want that ball about here?
Yeah, and I want to hit it to center field.
Okay, so what's the theory behind that?
I want to turn up top. I don't want to turn my swing down here because then you're going to miss everything. I want to turn my swing up here so like even the high fastball I can get to, and then the low pitches, my body will just react, my legs will go down to it, and I'll be able to get to those too.
What's been the one thing that you can say that you've perfected, but you've been able to hone in on and go, this is my hot zone, and I'm attacking every time I see that pitch?
I mean, I would say probably pitches down.
Down and in.
I love the
this
pitch.
one right here, that's nitro.
Maybe not that one, maybe here to here. This pitch is kind of hard to hit.
Yeah.
if you're not looking for it.
So you're not really typically looking for that down and fastball for us?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I'm looking, middle of the plate to away, and when I get to these, it's just kind of a reaction.
Right. Now you're playing every day, and the adjustment for us always is lefties is lefty on lefty pitching. How have you been able to kind of get these guys in a position where you can set them up the way you want?
Yeah, I mean, just see what the game's giving you. Is there a runner on? Is there what's the score? Are they going to spin me to death? What's their tendencies in that game with the runner on second? He might throw me all sliders, and probably a good idea to sit on a slider, or he might go all sinkers, and I'll be on the sinker. So it just depends on who's on the mound, and just for me, just mentally, with my approach, just
dialing in,
just locking in on it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Stay healthy as
Thank
you've been
you.
doing, and have a great year.
Thank you.
My God.
Here's a look at the notable additions and subtractions for the Tigers. Gleyber Torres accepted the qualifying offer, so he's back. Framber Valdez, a monster contract in the offseason, and Kenley Jansen, 26 saves away from 500 in his career. It's the manager interview presented by Sage, here with AJ Hinch.
How fun has it been to have, good problems with pitching depth and being able to have some good starters, obviously other than, Skubal and Framber. But I think when you look at the overall, how fun has it been to see these guys?
It's been huge. The last week before spring training, we had Framber, we had JV, and all of a sudden you look up and, Casey Mize is in the rotation. Jack Flaherty, Tarik Skubal. You look, this is the first time when I've been here where we walk in and 5 starters are pretty much named to start the spring, and good ones. We feel like every day when we roll up to the game, we have a chance to beat you with our starting pitcher, and it's great to have. Our depth is really good. We're going to need a lot more than those 5 to be good, but it doesn't hurt to start with some of the best guys in the league.
You've been known for having an excellent bullpen the past couple of seasons. Now Kenley Jansen gets thrown in to the mix. What do you envision for Kenley Jansen now that he's over on your squad?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about presence. He walks in the room, it changes the room. just his aura, his physical size, and then his resume. He's been so good at the end of games on so many good teams, and he's one of 3 guys who have 20-plus saves last year to be in our pen.
Yeah.
Kenley obviously has a resume. He's going to close the back end of a lot of games. I love that he comes in with an expectation. When he comes in the game, when Will Vest comes in the game, when Kyle Finnegan comes in the game, we feel like we're going to win.
Kevin McGonigal. Prospects these days, they're known commodities. We talk about them. We've seen them play, certainly at the lower levels. What are your expectations for him for the rest of spring and in 2026?
Yeah, he's getting a good look to see where he's at amongst players he's never played around or played with, and he's holding his own. He's a tremendously talented player. He's going to be a big leaguer at some point, whether that's opening day or whether that's in the season is to be determined, but he's not just one of the best prospects in baseball. He's a really good player, and he can do a lot of things on the field to help you win. He's demonstrated it early on. As the pressure mounts towards the end of the camp and the room thins out, it goes from 67 to 60 to 50 to 40. His environment will change a little bit, and I expect him to be able to handle it all.
Skip, every team, every year has some trials and tribulations. What do you think this team learned from August and September last year is going to help you propel as the season starts?
Yeah, it's a long season. One of my things I said to this group is that we're back at the bottom of the mountain. There's a lot of expectations that we can climb it, but the division goes through Cleveland. They've won it the last couple of seasons, and they caught us last year and took the opportunity to win the division. Now we beat them in the playoff in the wild card series, but we've got to stack good days and all the way through to the finish line. We had a really difficult stretch. It just happened to come at the same time during the end of that season. But we were still one of the more important teams at the end. And our team has learned that season's long. You're not going to get too far ahead of yourself. We talk expectations and playoffs and divisions and things like that. We better worry about the Padres opening series out west and start the journey.
Well, AJ, we appreciate the time. Best of luck to you and the Tigers this year.
You got it. Thank you.
Earlier, we asked you on social media, which bold prediction most likely to come true for the Tigers in 2026? Over 44% that voted said Tarik Skubal will strike out 300-plus batters. All right, wrapping things up here in Lakeland with the Detroit Tigers. Cliff, AJ Hinch has his eye on center field. If Parker Meadows can seize control of that job, that allows Javi Baez to really play all over.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing with Javi Baez. You get to utilize his versatility, right? And I think this team is a versatile type team.
No doubt.
When you have guys on the same page, understand that everybody needs to play, it allows them to, kind of stay fresh, but stay in that grind mode to help this team win more games.
AJ Hinch also mentioned Matt Verling, who was limited to 31 games last season because of injury. He's back and healthy. That could definitely mean a big difference for the Detroit Tigers. That's going to do it from Lakeland, Florida. 30 clubs, 30 camps. I think we've been to all 30. As a matter of fact.
You said I played for them.
Yeah, that's right. For Cliff Floyd, for our amazing team behind the camera and behind the scenes, I'm Robert Flores. Thanks for watching.